It's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Højbjerg running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello and welcome to another Hollie's Hotspurs live, where tonight we're going to have a bit of a therapy session. To be fair, it's been a little while since we've had one of these, so it'd be nice to get it all out in the open because I think we kind of need it. But with me tonight to dissect everything that happened, and I think it's going to be a long one because there was a lot that happened and not necessarily positive. I am joined by three fabulous guests. So first of all, Luke, welcome back onto the show, my friend. How are you on this fine Monday?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm a bit better than I was a couple of days ago, but we're probably going to go back to that and then come back even stronger out the other end. So, no, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Buzzing to be here. So, thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, like I said, that's two defeats now that we've had to dissect. But hey ho, here we are. As well, joining us this week, I'm also joined by Patrick. He's here in the flesh this week, so it's lovely to have him on. How are you, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Apologies for the no-show last week. I was on the football terrace, which is obviously, one of my main things. And then it just, they were talking a lot of crap about Tottenham. So I had to stay there and fight our corner, which then turns out to be a waste of time because we go and do that again. So, yeah, it's one of them ones.
Yeah, I know. It's annoying, but like you say, you got to fight your corner, and I don't mind if you're going to do it on there and be late. I'm all for it. But also joining me as well is Max. Max, welcome back. I'm sorry I'm getting you on at a time where we've been defeated, but how are you, my friend?
It's all good. Thanks for having me back. Ready to obviously dissect that absolute monstrosity that we obviously witnessed last night. And I'm just glad I didn't get soaking wet because it was like I don't know where. Apparently, when they showed it on the telly, it just looked like a cover of water was just going down right next to over the stadium. So I'm glad that whoever was sat in the north stand, God, they would have been getting brutally violated.
Absolutely. I mean, it just kind of shows how kind of emulated how bad the night was with that rain. So I do feel sorry for anyone that was sat in the north stand. Make sure you had your coat and your umbrella, I'd imagine. But yeah, so let's just crack on with it. If you are watching, hello, welcome. You can join in with the moaning session and the ranting session on the side. And yeah, let's get involved. So obviously, let's start with, now I'm going to start with you, Luke. I don't know about you, but I was a bit surprised by the lineup because we found out late that Højbjerg and Romero obviously had minor injuries. So how taken back were you to see that they weren't in the lineup?
Yeah, I think that, one thing that we know from Antonio Conte is that over time he does rotate. Look at the United game when he played Ben Davis over Longley at left centre back. He's made changes in the past, and I wasn't crazily surprised by it. Obviously, the Romero one's the major one. I think that Ollie Skip can slot into there reasonably well, so I wasn't too bothered. But yeah, it's never a problem when you win and those changes go well. But it will always be dissected and looked at when we lose. And so, yeah, it wasn't great, was it really?
But it really wasn't. And obviously, we really wanted to bounce back, didn't we, Patrick? Obviously, going away to Old Trafford, losing there, you're thinking, oh, it's all right, we're at home, we'll be fine. It didn't quite turn out that way, did it?
Yeah, I mean, I knew Newcastle wasn't a gimme. We know what they're like. They've been one of our bogey teams over recent years where we can end up either battering them or we could end up losing 2-1 or 1-0. We've seen it. We've seen both sides of the coin. We heard through the grapevine that Joe Linton was going to be out for a knee injury. Bruno Gomes, his wife just had a baby, so he was also meant to be out. Surprise, surprise, both came down and started and were fine. And when I saw that lineup, when I was walking to the stadium, I'm not going to lie, that was the first bit where I was like, "Oh, this doesn't feel like a good moment." Davinson Sanchez, he always gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I mean that in the most respectful way. He was good last year when he came in. Exactly. I'm trying to be decent because fuck me. Yesterday I was punching the chairs in front of me. I looked behind, I saw Tapping Tobes. He was pissed. He had his hoodie on. He was fuming. It's just one thing after another, man. And yeah, that back line it just didn't fill me with any confidence. Langley had a decent game. He did the best he could, but obviously when you see Eric Dyer doing no-look passes to Hugo Lloris and it almost goes in as an own goal, you just know you're in for a long day. Like Eric Dyer, you know, I defend Eric Dyer, and I've, you know, literally rival fans, wrongfully so, we're getting onto him. Oh, he's shit, he's this, he's that. And I was like, you know what? He's actually been good for the last 12 to 18 months. But when you put in two stinkers like that, and the thing is, everyone watches those games. They were on live TV, national TV. Everyone watched the game on Wednesday. Everyone watched the game yesterday. It was the main game, 4:30 p.m. Everyone was tuning in. And when they see performances like that, how can I defend him? I don't even know what to say. Like, he was woeful. He was so bad yesterday. He kept giving the ball away. He just basically invited pressure on. He made everyone in the stadium feel uncomfortable. He was just shit. It's as simple as that. Davinson Sanchez, I don't really want to get onto him too much because we all know what he's about. I still don't understand how he's still a Tottenham player, if I'm being honest. I really don't get it. Then you start Emerson Royale at right back. Again, how is he still starting games for us? It's just you know, when I saw that lineup, I can't lie. You know, obviously I let everyone else speak, but as soon as I saw that lineup, I thought Conte was throwing the game. That was my first. It's like Conte's playing mind games and tricks with Daniel Levy, showing him the squad isn't good enough. I need reinforcements. You need to help me out, because there's no way we should be starting with that team against a decent Newcastle team. There's no way. That me as a Spurs fan, I could do a better job. I swear to God, I could do a better job than that, and I could also make better changes than that. Honestly, it was diabolical.
I think we all kind of echo that. I think you're right. I hope it is a statement to Daniel Levy, because otherwise, Max, I think Emerson Royale has something over Conte for him to keep getting that starting right back position.
I'm looking at the lineup, that obviously Pat's just mentioned, and I don't think anyone can put together what is going on. I've been waiting to have a go at this, because the whole game, like from that pass back from Dyer to Emerson Royale trying to get something in his compilation, I don't know what the geezer, what has he got on Conte? How is the bloke starting week in, week out? The only way you can get rid of him is when he's suspended. I don't understand. Like,
and then he still plays Champions League games.
It's ridiculous.
I know, it's fucking mental. It's honestly.
I honestly can't wrap my head around it. And the fact, like Lloris, we haven't even spoke about him. What? Like,
oh yeah, we haven't.
I'm glad Pat's let me have a go at Lloris here, because you can talk about the defensive display. I'll talk about. Look, you were actually nice on Longley. Yeah, he got skinned by Almiron and he buried it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Lloris, prior to that, the worst pass you've ever seen, because we know he can't kick a ball. It's like he wears wellies on his feet, just like Sanchez. Sanchez is stuck in the mud half the time. But what is that when he comes out and the ball, like Wilson is chasing the ball down? One, I don't think he even needs to come out. Two, if you're going to come out, you get rid of it. Like, you put your foot through it, you header it, you do something. You don't try and give like the opposition a hug, which looks like what he's doing in all these screenshots. And then Wilson, it's a striker's finish, good finish. I'm not going to lie to him, but it's too many mistakes now. I'm sick of it. I've spent a lot of money recently. I've been going to a lot of away games. I've been putting the effort in. I've been trying to just see what the fuss is all about going to all these away games. I've been getting out there and I'm spending good money. And when you're seeing your team putting performances like that at home, after the back of a 2-0 defeat, you could argue, it's United. You know, if you think about it properly, it's United at the end of the day. I'm like, next game, you bounce back. You don't bounce back like that. It was absolutely abysmal. We didn't even look like the home team. I couldn't be bothered with it. We sat there. Luckily I wasn't getting wet, because I'd have been watching from the concourse. No way was I going to be sat there watching that. It was an absolute disgrace. I mean, we started the game well, you could argue. And Son, from where we sat, Pat, like obviously in the south, it looked like one of those chances, when he bent it top corner.
We started right.
Like, why couldn't we just? All we needed was a goal, and again, we're creating these little chances. I think we had 17 shots yesterday. 17. That's a lot. Like, it's enough to score a couple, and then Newcastle just came out of the blocks and they just wanted it more than us, and they showed that. I mean, look how much it meant to their players when they scored. Like, Almiron's laying on the ground. Like, it's like it's his birthday. It's like he just won the lottery. I don't know what he knew. He was like, I've just run through it. I've managed to just knock it past the defender with ease and put it in the bottom corner. What is that? That's not Champions League side. How are we sitting third? I don't know.
You're right. I can't really work it out, because, like you said, going back to United, I thought we started the first 5 minutes okay, and then it all went to pot, and it was the same again. I think against Newcastle, maybe the first 5-10, like you said, if Sonny puts that chance away, we could be talking about something different, couldn't we, Luke? Because again, like these two have said, in the sense that we did have shots, we just didn't bury them when we needed to.
Yeah, but we can look at shots, right? But then we can look at like decent shots. Like, how many decent shots does anyone, apart from Son, had a couple. Obviously, I don't know if Harry Kane gets gets a shot for his little stooped header at the back post. I don't know, like, I can't be dealing with this whole, we did all right for 5 minutes, and then, the other 85, we were absolute dog shit. Like, it's not even like we tried. It's not even like the players gave anything. And I've always said this as a Spurs fan, like, show me something. Show me some passion. Show me some effort. Fight for 90 minutes. And if we lose, we lose. Like, that's just the way it is. But, like, I can't take, like, you boys were there. Like, I was at home punching the sofa. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Luke,
it was ridiculous.
Sorry to interrupt, because it's just while I remember it. But Harry Kane was one of the only players that walked around after the game clapping, like the fans, right? Lloris, if I'm making 2 mistakes like that, I'm literally like, sorry. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You're a World Cup winner. You've got bags of experience. At least you've been at the club. Like, you're loved by the fans, man, and you're just not helping yourself in your last, like, whether it's your last year or so at the club. Yeah. It makes it easy for us to say, who are we getting next? Who are we going to sign next? And it's too easy with all of these players. Like, you could replace the whole back five if you're calling it a back five. Like, the team just, other than take Kane and sort out of that, Basuma hasn't had a good start.
Yeah,
no. I want to back him.
That whole back five needs to go. That whole back five needs to go. Apart from Romero, but he didn't play yesterday, so forget him. That whole back five needs to go. Our fullbacks were absolutely abysmal. They were so wasteful in possession. The thing is, it's a crazy one because we actually had so much of the ball yesterday, and even in injury time, we had so many chances to actually run at them, but we just kept wasting it and giving it back to them. And it just goes to show our ball playing. I mean, we try and play out from the back. I don't know why. Like, just play to your strengths and your abilities. We can't play out from the back. These defenders aren't good enough. So unless Romero's on the pitch, we should just be hoofing it, or at least just doing, cheap little chips across to the middle of the park and see what happens there. But trying to play out from the back when you're 1 goal down, trying to get something out of the game with these defenders is absolutely laughable. And all the Newcastle guys did is just sit back and say, cool, you're going to give us the ball back eventually. And we did. It was so bad, honestly, from top to bottom. It was just a shit show.
Pat, they got someone at 6'7" at like left back, and we ain't got someone that can just knock it past him and run.
Exactly, it's absolutely embarrassing, man. These fullbacks, and again, I keep giving Sessegnon the benefit of the doubt. He's going to come good. He's a young player. He has decent games, but if I'm being honest, he's not good enough as well. I just got to be real now, man. He's not good enough.
Who's this Udinese player that I keep seeing that we've got?
Yeah, but then everybody looks decent. Everyone looks decent before they sign for Spurs, don't they? The list is as long as bloody Santa's list. Do you know what I mean? Like, the amount of players that look good on paper, that look good before they sign for Spurs, had a worldie of a season before they joined us. I'm not getting on Romero, but he was in Serie A Team of the Year before he joined us. See the game against United. I thought he was woeful in that game. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard. And I'm not getting on him. Like, but it always happens. And this fella, Udogie, he looks quality. Udinese, he does. He's over 6 foot. He's got pace. He looks good. But if he was a Conte signing, are you even going to get to see him play for Conte next season? I don't know.
We don't even get Spence, and he's there. Like, utilize him. How's Emerson playing over him? There must be something going on. There's something going on.
Yeah. He's got something on him. There really has to be, because I don't know how he's getting in that team week in, week out. I honestly do not understand it. I mean, he got I don't want to keep digging up Emerson, but he just infuriates me because, Luke, there was a part where I thought he was going to give handball for a penalty. I don't know how VAR didn't give it, because I'm being funny. If we were the opposing team, we'd be screaming for that to be a penalty.
Yes. He's just a liability, isn't he? And like, I've tried, like, he's one of those players, I don't know why, but I've tried to say, do you know what? Like, you're always getting played. You must be doing something. Like, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But in reality, he's no better than Serge Aurier. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's no better than him. He's a mistake.
Aurier's better than him, man. At least Aurier can whip a cross in. At least Aurier can actually whip a cross in.
When you play as like right wing back, you've got to be able to get forward. But obviously, like, your main job has got to be able to defend. But he just can't do any of it. Like, as you say, he can't even put a cross in. It's always, I'll get forward, and then, I'll play a ball back. The whole, Spurs playing the ball back, and, like, you boys must have been screaming being there, because playing the ball back to the goalkeeper in, like, the 87th, 88th minute, when we're 2-1 down, even 94th minute, and they're still passing the ball back to Lloris. Like, there's 30 seconds left on the clock. Like, it's an absolute joke at the moment. I'm done.
We just don't have a plan B. It just always seems the case. Like there's players in that team. There's bags of ability in that team, and at times it just looks like it's non-existent. I just don't understand it. We've been saved so many times by some mediocre results and other teams' results that have gone in our favour. That's the only reason we're sitting where we are. The fact that the likes of Liverpool and that have had a shit start to the season, because we'd be the ones sitting 10th. And if we were the ones sitting around there at the moment, that's the only thing that you can actually say is a positive. How are we there? Because if we were middle of the table, I mean, people would be talking, and people are already trying to get on Conte's back. And I'm not going to go as far as that. I do question his tactics sometimes and his substitutions, but you got to remember, there's loads of these players have been dead wood for the last 4 managers. Yeah. A lot of these, how are some of these players still there?
Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing.
Baffling.
In terms of, you see on the timeline now that people want Conte out, and you think to yourself, but what's been the constant? It's been these players. They're always there. Whenever the going gets tough, they say, oh, the manager trains us too hard, or they coach us too hard, or it's too intense. And we've had that so many times. I mean, I'm going to go into it now because I think I'll come to you, Patrick, because obviously I don't think Conte's been making the right choices in terms of his subs. I mean, obviously we're 2-1 down and he decides to bring on Doherty and Davies. And I'm like, I don't think that's the kind of tactics you want to go down. But then I think to myself on the flip side, we're missing Kulusevski and Richie. What else can he do in that kind of sense? So what's your kind of thoughts? Are you sitting on the fence being like, well, I don't know if Conte's making the right choices, or do you think it's literally doesn't have anyone to call on?
No, he isn't making the right choices. I can't really, I'm not Conte out at all in the slightest. I'll to be fair, what Conte's done, it's not really a miracle because we do have a good team. And I think they're either too far one way or too far the other. No one can ever just be balanced and in the middle. Like, yes, we are having a shit run, but we all are also a good team and we've had good moments, hence why we're 3rd in the league. We're not 3rd by accident. I mean, when you look at all the other teams and how they're playing, they're just as bad, if not shitter. So we also need to be a bit more relaxed. We're 3rd in the league. We're 1st in our Champions League group. So even though this is a bad period, I hope this is it. And then we just dust ourselves off and we go again. If it continues and we continue to slide, then cool, I understand it. But right now, it's a bit mental. But going back to your thing, Conte is definitely to blame. Like I said before, when I saw that lineup, I was worried. Max said the same thing. I think we all agree with that. And then you also look at it and the subs are just not really positive subs. We got Brian Gill, who's a good player, technically sound, can beat a man, can dribble. He's a good player, man. And even when we've seen him in cameos, he's looked good. Why not give him a chance? He never plays. And if he does, it's for like 5 minutes here or there. It's really weird. He's technically good on the ball. He can beat a man. He can pass. He would have done a job yesterday. No doubt about that. You brought on Lucas Moura, who can offer something, adds energy, was pressing. He's a good player in moments. But when you're bringing on defenders when we're chasing a game, that makes no sense to me. I'm sorry. We're not trying to defend the lead. We're trying to actually win the game here or at least get something out of it. And you're bringing on a right back and a centre back. Sorry, that doesn't make no sense to me. So, yeah, Conte is to blame. And also, sorry, we could have brought on Jed Spence, who is actually an attacking fullback, can beat a man, actually dribble and can whip a crossing. So for me, I would have brought on Gill and Spence, definitely, and Lucas Moura. So Conte's to blame, man. You can't keep hiding behind and saying, oh, it's not me, it's the players, it's the club's mentality. At the end of the day, you're the manager, man. You pick the team. You're the one that's meant to rile them up. You're the one that's meant to actually adapt during the game and sort things out. Other managers can do it. So why can't he? This team is not, fans are going crazy. I get it. We've lost 2 in a row and all of this shit. But this team's not that bad. Come on. We're getting beaten by a Newcastle team, which on paper, we've got much better players than. And for all the Newcastle's endeavour, they were absolutely shit, if we're being real. They wasted minutes. They wasted time from the first minute. Every time they got hit, they rolled over. Nick Pope, how do we only get 5 minutes of injury time? And Nick Pope alone sat on the ball for like 8 minutes. With the VAR decision alone was about 5 minutes. So how do we only
Callum
get 5
Wilson
minutes
walking off the wrong way after being on a yellow card.
Bruno G.
And it just... Why do refs take so long to get the yellow out when these things happen? Bro, it's always the 80th minute or something.
That ref had no control of the game. Basically, the players did what they wanted to do, and he just allowed it to happen. And they actually mugged him off. He even was telling them to get off, and they were just like, fuck it, I'm just going to stroll. He's not going to do nothing. So, yeah. But going back to the thing, Conte, for me, is to blame. I'm sorry. The players absolutely had a shit show. I know no one can legislate for Hugo Lloris making 2 howlers, but still, at the same time, you're the manager. You could have reacted. and set us up differently. And also, you need to start picking better players for, like, how is Emerson Royale still playing and starting? Conte's
honestly,
to blame for me, man.
I think that's the thing. I mean, Max, I come to you. I think that's kind of what we're all feeling. The fact that you're 2-1 down at home and your initial reaction is to put on 2 defensive players. Like, what is going through his brain?
I've lost for words. Like, this geezer's getting 15 million a year to make big decisions, and I don't understand. Like, how is it the fans can always see what the best decision is, but the manager who's getting paid that money can't? That's the one thing that I always find so baffling from time to time. And he's not the first manager that we're going to have. He's not the last that we can see the better decision to make. Like, you can see that right side is just terrible. Like, from Sanchez to Emerson over there. I mean, you might as well just not have anyone there. It's absolutely baffling at times. Especially, I don't know. It's so frustrating. There's so many things in my head that just went wrong in that game that we need to just sort out. I know it's early on in the season. It's hard not to be like overreaction about everything, but you need to sort it out quickly, because it's so, in this league, teams, they pick up points quickly in this league. You find yourself, there's more than the top 4 now. Like, there's a top 7 clubs that can realistically get that, and we're going to struggle if we don't sort it out, like in the Champions League on Wednesday, and bounce back like instantly, just like with a good reaction. Then I'll tell you what, we don't win on Wednesday, and I'll tell you what, there were a lot of the fans, because that'll be 3. Imagine if we lose on Wednesday, that'll be 3 losses. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. I wouldn't even want to. I'm someone that would not want to go, because it annoys me how much money that people spend. Like, the ones that sit down next to me, Ollie and Ben, they travel 4 hours every time. 4 hours to come, and like, that's 4 hours. Hollie, it's like when you go. Like, if you went week in, week out, as you know, it's just a lot of money every time you go to see performances like that. We're the ones buying their shirts. We're the ones that spend a lot of money because we love the club. And it's just so hard. Like, it breaks your heart every time you see someone in a Spurs shirt that doesn't give a shit. Like, they don't care if they lose. They just go home, and like,
they're still getting paid.
It reminds me of when Dele Alli started going downhill. I feel like it's not as bad as that, but there's characters in this team. Like, there needs to be someone that can just like get them in that changing room and just say, "Look, what are you doing?" Like, without
just beat them up,
like,
literally throw a punch,
go around the room, do a Roy Keane, do a Fergie, kick a boot at someone. I don't know, whatever you need to do. This is why we thought we brought Conte in, though, to sort out these issues. And
well, that's my sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I know you want to say something, but like, that's my like biggest concern here. Is like, if we look at what's happening right now, right? You know, I think, Patrick, you are right. You know, we can look at positives in, like, look where we are in the Champions League, look where we are in the league, etc., etc. But let's look at every single performance this season. Even the win against Leicester was not convincing, apart from the scoreline, in reality. The one thing that worries me here, without being the pessimist, is that let's look at Antonio Conte. The decisions he's making starting lineups, the decisions he's making in game, the performances he's getting out of some of the players, the non-reaction he's getting at half times, and yet his contract runs out in the summer. It is worrying for me that I can't see if performances continue like this. People can talk as much bollocks on Twitter as they want, right? That there's going to be talk soon for a new contract for him and for Kane, etc. If we don't start performing better, there's going to be no contract talks. I personally don't believe he stays after the summer, unless we have some kind of insane January transfer window, because his contract runs out in the summer. Why would he stay? He doesn't look arsed. He doesn't look bothered. Don't know.
It is really difficult. I mean, if we were sitting here saying we've just beaten Newcastle, would we be having a different perspective? I don't know, because I think in some games we have become very lucky, and I'm not blind to the fact that obviously that Højbjerg goal from the other week, it literally pings off someone's leg and goes in the back of the net. If that doesn't happen, we won't be talking about that win. So it is very difficult.
I wouldn't say Conte doesn't care. Like, I know it's easy for us to say that, because you know, this whole Conte cam, that obviously socials, like, the Spurs socials love it, and we see when we score, he's turning around, he's jumping into the crowd, like, or with his staff, obviously. Like that.
I'm just looking at all of the things lined up together, like all of those things together. Like, why else are we making these decisions?
The problem is, right? He has the ability to change it. We can be annoyed. We can say what we want. And he can be annoyed and say what he wants in the press conferences, whatever. But Conte, you have got the power to not play Emerson Royale. You've got the power to not play Sanchez. Do you know what I mean? Make the decisions that are actually going to turn this and put this in the right direction, because it just goes back to me saying, how do we always notice it? And they can't. Like, it does my head in.
I think it's right. A bit like David said here as well, in the sense that he can't. We've seen him change the formation now. We've obviously seen 3 in midfield. It doesn't really work. We've also seen that he plays obviously 3 up top, and I think we're getting found out too easy. So Patrick, we're talking about him changing the style of play, but how does he do it with these players? Because he's changed it multiple times now, and it's not working either way.
Well, if you put the right personnel in, it will work. Trust me. If you can actually put people in that can play football, I don't buy that. There's good players in that squad. So if you put Jed Spence in at right back or right wing back, and you actually put 2 good centre backs in together, i.e., even try Tanganga and Romero, 2 guys that can actually play on the ball and pass out, and then you get midfielders that can actually pass forward. And even Oliver Skip has really escaped a roasting. He wasn't good yesterday either. And yeah, I know he's young. And yeah, I know he's been out for a long time. But fuck me, he was a mile behind every ball. And his passing was off. He got into good positions and was falling over or passing it behind players. He wasn't good either. So you need players that can actually get in positions and actually finish and do something in the final third. Bentancur was really, really good yesterday. The only grievance for me is that he was through on goal. Well, not through on goal, but we had a good attacking play and he passed the ball behind someone, and that kind of scuppered that attacking phase. But yeah, if you actually get players that can actually pass the ball to each other and play, we would win games. Hugo Lloris, again, I had to dig him out. If we get a goalkeeper that doesn't make stupid mistakes, we don't concede 2 goals to a shit Newcastle team. Yeah, Newcastle are 4th in the league and they've been doing good, but they weren't good yesterday. And if that's how they're trying to play against the top teams, setting up like that, they're fucking shit. And they will get found out, because you can't play, like, literally the ball was in play for about 30 minutes yesterday. That's how bad they were. And another referee that's got any balls will get onto them and say, either you sort out or I'm yellow carding all of you lot. And then they obviously have to start playing. So, yeah, I mean, we've got players in this team that can actually play football. Get them on the park and actually sort them out, and actually just tell the guys to play forward. Don't sit on the halfway line. That we played such a high line yesterday as well. So easy for Callum Wilson to run in behind us. Just these basics. If you get the basics right, we can actually win some football games. But obviously, if we're going to play like that in every game, it's going to be a long season.
Very long season, but none of us want that. I want to go back, obviously, Luke, I'll bring you in for this one. I mean, we've touched on Hugo a little bit, and obviously I've had high praises for Hugo, because if you look at Man United, he was like prime Yashin. We would have lost that game probably 6-0 if it weren't for him. But then he turned into an egg against Newcastle. I don't know how your captain can go from like that to that in a matter of 4 days.
Yeah, but then we look at him against like Arsenal. Like, one of the things this season that's happened a lot, right? And, that is probably only the positive I can say from it, is a lot of the goals we've conceded have been quite unlucky goals, or lucky goals for the opposition. Look at the 2 goals for Manchester United the other night. Obviously, they could have scored a lot more, but the first one was a ricochet that goes into the back of the net. The second one is it comes off Eric Dyer and falls to Bruno Fernandes at the edge of the box. We look at the first goal for Newcastle was a mistake from Lloris. Second goal for Newcastle was a mistake by Lloris. The goal, one of the goals for Arsenal was a mistake by Lloris. There is a lot of mistakes that are, goal against Frankfurt, mistake from Eric Dyer. Like, there's a lot of goals coming from mistakes from these players. And I would love to sit here and say, no, I'm 100% behind Hugo Lloris. I'm backing him. Like, this is my keeper. But, I think his time at Spurs is pretty much done. The amount of times he's saved us in games is being severely clouded by the amount of times that he hasn't saved us and actually cost us games, to be honest, and goals that we shouldn't be conceding. So I don't know who we should go for. That bit is difficult, but if he carries on this way, I'd rather a Fraser Forster goal.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, you do make a very valid point. I mean, we've had somebody in the chat tonight talking about how you can't keep bigging up players that have been here for ages, even though they've had a couple of good cameos. And I think Lloris has had a lot of good cameos, but Max, you kind of on the agreement that maybe time is ticking for Hugo Lloris, because I think he stormed down the tunnel straight after the game as well, didn't he?
I mean, it's obviously reactionary at the time. He's going to know that he's made 2 cock-ups at the end of the day. He's going to want the foul to be given in that situation just because that's the easy way out. And 9 out of 10 times, keepers do get the benefit of the doubt. Like sometimes, how many times have we seen it in the past where keepers just go down in the box? I mean, VAR has probably played a big part because maybe the keeper didn't know whether to give it. The ref didn't know whether to give it. So I don't know, but it's just such a silly mistake. And 2 mistakes in one game is bad enough, let alone 1 from a keeper. It's very hard. Like Luke said, he could make 10 shots, 10 saves all game, absolutely amazing, and then you make 1 fluff up like that, and that's what people are going to remember. I think that's what happens, unfortunately. But his time, I would say, shot stopper, unbelievable. But in the football's changed so much. You need to be good on the ball. You need to be able to. I would say be good on the ball. This is why Liverpool and City have 2 of the best keepers because they can pass the ball out from the back, no dramas, and just be able to kick it. It's kicking it and passing. Like those 2, I know they're very similar aspects, but the game's changed now. You can be a good shot stopper, yeah, but if you can't do that, especially when teams are trying to play out from the back as much as we've been trying to recently, it starts from the back, and we've got players like Sanchez, who doesn't know how, he panics every time he gets the ball. Maybe that's why he does like Emerson Royale, because maybe he's quick, a little bit. He's Brazilian, Jogo Bonito, get him in one of those cages with a little gold ball. We might be able to string a couple of passes around. But in the Premier League, is he good enough? I don't think so. But on your subject, Lloris, last season for me, it is definitely the last season. And I don't know where Dean Henderson's going, but I know he's been spoke about a lot recently, and obviously everyone saw how good he was recently. So there's a lot of keepers out there. It's just finding the right one. I mean, knowing Spurs, we'll find one that can't use his feet. So
or hasn't got any hands.
One of the 2. But Patrick, I just want to get your last thoughts on it because obviously it was a big aspect of the game yesterday, which ultimately did cost us all 3 points. So your kind of thoughts on Lloris? Is his time up as well?
Yeah, this has to be his last year. He's been a great servant for the club. Ironically, I put a tweet out after the Man United game. I put a tweet out saying Hugo Lloris isn't world class, but he's the bracket below. And I said world class Alisson and Edison, bracket below, and then I had Hugo Lloris and a lot of people say, nah, Hugo Lloris is better than Edison. Edison's not world class. For me, Edison is world class because he can pretty much do it all. His positioning can be questionable at times, but you trust Edison when he's in goal. I don't trust Hugo Lloris more often. Man, I don't know. I'm kind of contradicting myself because I've bigged up Hugo. I've said he's been fantastic for us. But then the mistake against Arsenal, I can give you 1 or 2 a season. But then when you make 2 literally in 2 games' time, it washes away all of the good stuff that you've been doing. And, we know his kicking isn't great, but he was just giving the ball back to Newcastle every single time. But yeah, he's a good goalkeeper. He'll save us more times than he lets us down. But the reality is, if he's 35, 36, it's time, man. It's time to refresh, go again. There's a lot of good players out there. Admittedly, I don't know who we go for, but that's what we got a DOF and all these scouts in for. We need to get a good keeper. He's like 24, 25, 26. And then we go again, man. Hugo has to be done after the season.
I would have had Nick Pope, Pat.
Yeah, I like Nick Pope. I was saying,
what the time
people saying,
when it's your club, you're all for it.
Don't mind.
Yeah,
you do make valid points.
I wanted them at Spurs. A lot of people said, he's like Hugo, he can't play out of his feet, but he's better on the ball than Hugo Lloris, definitely. And obviously he's a lot younger. And he's English as well, which also helps. So I would have taken Nick Pope in a heartbeat.
I think we've got to the point now where we've tried to hold on to Lloris for so long because we haven't necessarily got anybody good enough in reserves. I know we've got Forster, but again, I don't think although Hugo's having a bit of a rough time at the moment, I don't think he overtakes Hugo personally. But I think it's all coming to a bit of a halt now. So I think we do need to obviously maybe have a look at the summer because I don't think we'll get anybody in January. It'd be nice to, but I don't think we will, of the caliber we need him. But yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page that I think now's maybe the time for Hugo. I just want to bring this up by Tinman 007. Thank you very much for your super chat. And Luke, I'll come to you for this one. Obviously, he says we offer Dyer a new contract, then there is your problem with the club. Why are we rewarding players who are just not good enough? What's your kind of thoughts on Tin Man's comment?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I remember, I don't know, some point last season I was on this show, Hollie, and we were talking about how bad Eric Dyer was and how much he needs to go. And then, he's put in quite a few good performances. He got back into the England squad. And then he just, it's not just one game again. Like, he was poor against United. He was poor against Frankfurt. He was poor against Newcastle. Like, that's what I don't really understand about a lot of these players. Like, I can understand how your confidence can go right in one game, but I don't understand how you can't rectify that and mistakes keep coming and coming and coming. We need more players. I would say in that starting lineup yesterday, 8 could go, right? And that's probably being, harsh, right? 8 could go in that starting lineup. But we need to start changing the players that require changing. Eric Dyer is down that list slightly because there are more pressing issues that need to be changed. Okay, we could say left wing back, we've got a new player coming in, not sure how he's going to be. We've got right wing back, we've got a left-footed centre back. We need attacking midfielder. We definitely need somebody up top, because let's not forget how old Kane and Son are now. And we need to start remembering that at some point we're going to need to change one or both of those, because at some point they're going to both go, and we'll still be left with Ben Davis, and we'll still be left with Harry Winks in midfield, and we'll then have to replace everybody. So I think it's about, like, when you decide to change these players, and giving Eric Dyer a 1-year contract extension if it means sorting out more pressing issues. Of course, we need a new centre back. But I think the left of that centre-back trio is more pressing right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we've said this for so long. We need to hurry up and rebuild. I mean, we've been wanting to rebuild for God knows how long. It just hasn't happened. I thought this season was the one in terms of getting Richarlison and this, that and the other. But again, it shows that we're still far from where we need to be. But I want to kind of finish on a positive, if I can drag a positive from that game against Newcastle. Patrick, I'll come to you. I think for me, it was obviously getting that goal. It came again from a corner. So Vio is earning all his money, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for all of our faults and mishaps, Harry Kane is pretty much in electric form. What's that, 10 and 12? And to be fair, he's not even getting that many shots off in the game. I know there was a few moments yesterday where he took a shot and it was blocked. But if you're looking at Kane's performance as a whole, he was probably one of the better players as well. He was trying to thread people in. He was actually trying to do something. He faded in the second half. But yeah, he's still there. He's still dangerous. He's still, Harry Kane, essentially, one of our shining lights in a bit of a weird season, because, like I said, we are third. We're top of our Champions League group. We know this can change. But as it stands right now, if you take a step back, we're actually having a decent season. I know it sounds crazy to say, but the reality is where we are and what's going on. It's not all doom and gloom, but it just needs to change. It needs to change quickly. So Kane's doing well. I don't know. That's all I can really say there.
That's pretty much it, isn't it, really?
Well. Yeah, I can't. That's it. I'm going to leave it there, man. There's not much else I can say.
All right, it is frustrating, but I think it's nice that although we lost, we scored from another set piece. And there's been so many times that I've wanted us to do something from corners, and it's actually happening now. It's just a shame that it wasn't enough. Max, I know we've spoken about it a little bit, and obviously that is Skippy coming back into the side after, I think it was about 7 months. And I know Patrick said he probably didn't have the best of games. But the thing I noticed, again, the first 5-10 minutes, he was progressive with the ball, and we haven't seen that a lot from the midfield in that kind of sense. I know it didn't last very long, but there's glimpses of maybe something happening with Skippy in that midfield trio.
Well, that's the thing. We've got a couple defensive-minded pairing in that midfield, and obviously we need that attacking threat. So whoever wants to step up in that midfield, and whether it is Skip, whether it's what we wanted to see be Basuma, whether it's Bentancur, like obviously it won't be Hui, but I mean this week I say that for Denmark, he's always great on the ball going forward. So it's just annoying. Why are some players different for their country and why is club vice versa? But no, it's good to see Skip back. It's another player, obviously, squad rotation. Obviously, the game is coming thick and fast, and he loves the club. So he's going to be working his socks off. I'm sure he wants to get in that starting lineup. And if he can do that by, getting a couple of assists, getting the ball down, getting forward with it, then happy days, because that is what we need. We're missing that at the moment. Like, I feel like just going forward, it's sometimes non-existent, and that's why a lot of these players end up passing the ball back, and it's like, why? And then all the crowd get behind and everyone starts moaning. Then we lose it because they can't play it around at the back because they're not good enough on the ball, and then it goes back to Lloris and he kicks it out for a throw, and then we concede. It's like if we had someone that can just go forward and actually make a chance, let Harry have a few shots a game. Like Pat's saying, look, why is he getting like the only main chance he's getting is like a header that falls to the back post and he's there again. It's like we want him to be in and around the box getting chances, not ones that you have to try and hope for a bit of luck. And when you're 2-0 down, it's obviously hard to come back anyway. So it's tough, man. Like it's so frustrating. On Wednesday, I know it's Champions League and any team in Champions League, it's not going to be easy, but we need a big win. And I don't know where it comes from, whether it's Wednesday, whether it's at the weekend, whether it's is it Monday? We go to Marseille. One of these teams we need to just wipe the floor with, because I feel like the fans are just not confident at the moment. You don't know where the goals are coming. They're there because obviously Kane's scoring, but they're not because the defensive side's a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
And if the defensive side's a shit, then it doesn't matter how many goals you score because you're just going to keep leaking and leaking. So
yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting you said it because we've had this chat last season as well. We said our defense is too shit and we're back at square one again. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, like Carl says, who is a channel member again, big up yourself, Carl. He says we have to bounce back on Wednesday. So Luke, how do we go about bouncing back? Because we thought bouncing back was the weekend and it wasn't meant to be. Oh, he's on mute.
There we go. I've been talking about bouncing back for weeks. After 1-0 wins or we scraped it, 1-1 draws or we scraped a goal in the last minute. Oh, don't worry, because the next game we're going to get this big win, as Max is talking about. We're going to get this big win, this convincing win. Doesn't even have to be a huge win scoreline. Just has to be a convincing win, where we absolutely dominate the game. Like we were doing the back end of last season. And that's the part that worries me under Conte, is that, the back end of last season, we were on absolute fire when it came to scoring goals, progressive, attacking play. And that all seems to have gone somewhere. Talking about Harry Kane, the best part of the game for Harry Kane, for me, was the part where he ran out from his position to the centre of the park, pretty much picked the ball up off that right-hand side. I can't remember who was messing about with the ball, probably Emerson or somebody else. He got the ball and he pinged it out to somebody else to make us actually get forward. That three in midfield, any three in which we play, they're all so similar, it infuriates me. Because all they do is the same role. All they do is just play in the same area of the pitch, and none of them know what they're doing. Bissouma against Man United was probably... I'd have dragged him off after 10, 15 minutes. He was and I agree with Max. Like, we want to get behind him. Like, I want him to do well. Like, see him at Brighton, he was absolutely phenomenal. Watch him at Spurs, and he looks like a shadow of a man. He can barely get a touch, make a pass.
And then when he does, his first touch is shambolic.
Oh, it's
like terrible. I don't get it.
No. But we do need to kick on, and we do need to make something of this season. For me, I think until Decky comes back, we are going to struggle. I like Richie, I like Richarlison, but he doesn't offer enough attacking for me. And I never expected it from him, right? Said this to you many times, I never expected him to score 20 goals a season, never expected him to kind of set the world alight. But I expect him to be that nuisance and kind of keep hold of the ball, make progressive runs and things like that. But we miss Decky so much, and to know that he's probably going to be out until, after the World Cup, it is worrying because we can't continue playing like that. Son doesn't play very well as a central striker with Harry Kane. It's just a mess all over the pitch. I don't know whether the next...
What's going on with Kula? What's going on? Because 1 minute is, he's going to be back in training, and then next week...
Yeah, he got back in training, didn't he? But then he did something else.
It's unbelievable. I don't understand how some of these players get injured and then they don't come back. Next thing will be he's back in Easter. And it just makes no sense. And then it feels like people are, he's been out so long. It's like a new signing. No, we still need more signings. It's just so repetitive.
It's just a vicious cycle. And we're hearing, I mean, I know that we keep saying we're top of the Champions League, Patrick, but I feel like to obviously get the fans back on side, because we're all sat here just annoyed. And we've lost 2 games on the trot now. Yes, we're, like you said, Patrick, we're doing well. We're okay in the league at the minute. But if we carry on the way we are, it is going to be a shambles. So with that being said, Patrick, Wednesday, it's got to be a win, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. Football is fine lines. competitive football at the top edge is fine lines, because like we're third right now, we're top of the league, but it can literally change just like that. One more bad performance, all the teams around us pick up another win. We drop to 5th or 6th in the league, and obviously our league, our Champions League group is so tight. If we lose on Wednesday, dare I say it, and the other two teams, the other team wins, then we could be third or whatever, because it's tight and it's literally goal difference are separating us. So yeah, we need an emphatic performance on Wednesday. Sporting Lisbon at home is a team we should be beating. I don't care what the circumstances are. Yes, it's the Champions League. Yes, you respect your opposition, but fuck me, we need to beat them and beat them convincingly. I want to see a good performance. I want to see these guys actually wake up and play like they want to be there. Play like you actually have some pride. Play like you actually represent the Spurs shirt. Play like you actually care what the fans think, and just actually go out there and batter them. Kane, step up, take the game by the scruff of the neck. Same with Son. Eric Dyer, if you're going to start, which you are, actually be commanding like you used to be at the back end of last season. Højbjerg hopefully needs to come back in and be a Viking again. Romero needs to play and just not be a loose cannon. Stay in your position, clear the ball. Don't whack a player for no reason and go through players, because Romero's been getting away with a lot of tackles. I'm like, wow, how's he not getting carded for that? So, all it takes, and in the Champions League, they're quick to give out yellows and red cards. So he needs to really be on his game. Emerson Royale, please do not play, for love of money. Oh, God. Conte, just sort it out, man. Do not start that bum anymore. I can't defend him anymore. Hugo Lloris, just stay composed. And we beat Lisbon. And then obviously we bounce back. Who we got in the league again? I think it's Bournemouth, isn't it? Bournemouth away. Beat Lisbon, beat Bournemouth, and we kind of can start feeling a bit of confidence. Because at half-time yesterday, it was horrible, Max, wasn't it? The boos were ringing out. Everyone was slumped. It was raining. It just felt it was
people
horrible.
Sat down. People were sitting down next to me. Like it was done. Right, let me actually show you this picture. Right, this is Ben, who was sat next to me, and I love him to bits. But
champion, yeah.
Yeah, little champion. Look, he ain't a champion. He ain't a champion here, because look how upset he is,
bro.
I don't blame
This is what Tottenham are doing to us.
That's what I'm saying. Half time, I was shell shocked. I was just dazed. I couldn't believe it. 2-0 down at home to Newcastle. That's mental. It's
unbelievable.
Crazy.
It is just gross. I mean, hopefully we do manage to bounce back, because Luke, we say we don't have a lot of fun away from home, but but we were at home and didn't have a lot of fun. So if we bounce back against Sporting Lisbon, we then do have Bournemouth away. So that is also a very important game too.
Yeah, definitely. But if you look at the stature of Spurs and the stature of Bournemouth, it's not a game we should be even considering that, should be a tough game, in my opinion. Obviously, we can all say, games are tough, and that, the old cliches, right? Oh, you never know, how the opposition is going to play, or, you need to respect everybody in the Premier League. It's a tough league, all those other cliche bullshit phrases. Like, at the end of the day, Bournemouth aren't at the level that we are. Bournemouth aren't a club that we should be worried, that we should be concerned about. They sacked their manager so early on in the season. And yet we're still going into it thinking, oh, do you know what? I hope we can beat Bournemouth. I hope we can get back on track. Like, this is what's happening to us this season. Like, it's driving me insane. Like, we need to win Wednesday and we need to win Saturday. Look, those two wins come in. I'm feeling more positive. Look at just before the game on Sunday, right? Let's look at that. I text my Arsenal mates like, oh, classic Arsenal coming back. Do you know what I mean? Like, drawing 1-1 against Southampton. I'm thinking, now's the time for us to get 3 points. Put a bit more pressure on them, because I think they will falter. And then I just looked like an absolute arsehole afterwards. Do you know what I mean? Like, just got absolute pelters for about 4 hours.
Mm-hmm. It seems to be the way. Whenever like a team loses out on points and we can capitalise, it just goes to pot. We just can't do it. So I should have known it was coming. But Patrick, against Bournemouth, they got beat by Saints, they drew to Fulham, and they drew to Newcastle as well. So it won't be a pushover. But like Luke says, it's got to be a game we've got to be winning.
Yeah, I mean, Luke, I know you did say about the whole respect your position thing, but we do need to respect them. But then also at the same time, we need to batter them. If we just, go gung-ho, they can pick us off. They are, dare I say it, I wouldn't say they're a decent team, but yeah, they got some sort of quality in there. But yeah, Bournemouth is a team that we should be battering 100%. And especially this is where you see who are men and who are boys. Like the reaction needs to happen. The bounce back needs to happen. I want to see a good performance on Wednesday, like Luke said, and a good performance on Saturday. And then, we start to feel a bit more like, yeah, this team's going places because like I said it again, I'll repeat it, it's fine lines. A couple of wins and we're right back where we need to be. We're not title contenders. I never expected us to challenge for the league, but I know that we're definitely a top 4 team. So as long as we stay in that top 4, obviously keep us close to the top 2 as possible. But realistically, we're not going to win the league. But I know 100% there's no way we should drop out of that top 4. And there's no way we should not qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League. And then after that, you just see what happens.
Preach it. I think that's the thing. I think we just need to start racking up I think just for fans' point of view, I think we just need to go and do the business Wednesday and Saturday. But Max, like we've kind of alluded to, I know that they are playing West Ham tonight at 8 o'clock. So obviously that for us, we're playing midweek anyway, so it doesn't do us any favours. But in that kind of respects, are you looking into much against West Ham? Or as we know, West Ham are quite near the bottom anyway, as I can remember, I think.
At this stage, like you said, let's just get a little run of games going. Let's win these 2 Champions League games. Go to Bournemouth, show them what we're made of. Because end of the day, 3 games is like that's a good little bit of momentum to be going into. I mean, as soon as obviously the World Cup comes, it'll be the worst time. But everyone's saying they want the World Cup now because obviously we're gonna. If we don't win Wednesday, it's like, oh please, just get me the World Cup, and it's like people. I'm not normally people who are disinterested in the World Cup. You know what I mean? Normally people are like, oh, I love club football. Tottenham are on the run. Why does it always have to end? This time around, it's like, oh, we need it. So let's just win these 2 Champions League games, go to Bournemouth, do the job there, and then we can have a look and see what's going after that. Because, like you said, the tide can turn so quickly. I mean, look, let's face it. I'm chucking out there. Arsenal are going to stay top of the Premier League very long, and I'm waiting for that game, waiting for it. I mean, they're like a tractor. They just keep going. They've got those big wheels. They're just crushing everyone at the moment because everyone else has been shit. That's why.
It's like 3-0, 1-0 and a win and in a row, and then a 1-1 draw. It's slow. They're slowly coming off, but slowly coming off. But it's a hardy old thing.
Wait till Haaland does a little sniff of them. He'll be munching them up. I tell you.
Nah, I think you're right. I think it's good to. It's not nice to talk about how well Arsenal are doing, but you have to keep them relevant because at the end of the day, they are doing okay at the minute. But like you say, they're not absolutely storming the league. And like you say, when they get against Haaland and City, I think we all know that City are going to run away with the league again. So we can all sit here happy and be like, well, they ain't going to win the league, so it's fine. But no, I think you're right. Going back to Spurs, we do need to win the next 2 games. Like I say, momentum, keep us happy before the World Cup comes in. I'm not going to do score predictions because I feel like I jinxed it last week, so we're going to leave it. I just want to say a big thank you to obviously you guys joining me tonight. So we'll do our little carousel of goodbyes. So first of all, Luke, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Again, sorry it's a loss, but thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me on. And this week I'm actually going to do a proper promo for my channel. So you can find us every Saturday morning on YouTube, 11 a.m. at Park Lane Podcast. So if you're on the way to the game or, you're just messing about, having a coffee, whatever you're doing, tune in. Videos aren't for you. You can head over to any podcast platform and find us at Park Lane Podcast on there. You can follow us on YouTube, all the rest, Twitter, all the rest of it. But yeah, make sure you go and subscribe if you're not already to Hollie's channel. And thanks for having me on.
Hey, you got it right this week. I'm proud of you, Luke. Also, thank you again to Patrick, my friend. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, so if you're watching on the visual, my handle is there, Patrick Tyrant. Follow me on Twitter. I'm quite good entertainment on there, usually anyway. Instagram as well. I'm always on the football terrace as the resident Spurs fan. I saw someone in the comments say I've been humbled. I haven't been humbled. Yeah, Spurs on a bad streak, but like I said, we're still doing all right. And then, once we go again this Wednesday, we'll be fine. So, I'm not sure what you're on about, but it's all good. But Hollie, thank you for having me on. Max, Luke, always a pleasure. And everyone in the comments, big up yourself.
Thank you, Patrick. And also, Max, thank you again for joining. Where can people find you doing your thing now that you've got your actual Twitter back? So, happy days.
The only reason I'm glad it's back is it looks like I'm a big boy account now, doesn't it? When I actually drop people a follow, they actually get the notification now. No, I'm joking. It's I worked hard for that back in the day, so it's good to have it back. And do you know what was actually nice? The amount of people that just thought, oh, where's he gone? And it's like, well, I've always been about, but it just goes to show like how many people just use like one social media. But ex Joe Max on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and obviously match day vlogs and live reactions. So thanks for having me on again, Hollie.
No worries. Thank you. And also a big thank you to everybody in the chat today. It was very lively. I think that happens when we need a therapy session. So thank you, everyone. Also, thank you to Tinman 007, I think his name was, for your super chat. I do really appreciate it. It does help me. So thank you very much. Hopefully next Monday at 7:00, we will be talking about a Bournemouth win. Keep your eyes peeled to see who's coming on next week throughout the week. And until next time, I guess, come on, you Spurs.